Welcome to Tiger Lily's Freedom Roar. My name is Lily Gonzalez, and I'm show host for Tiger Lily's Freedom Roar on Freedomites Radio. I'm an activist, a blogger. I like to write articles. I like to videotape cops doing their job. I'm a big advocate of the underdog. I try my best to be a critical thinker. And this specific YouTube is going to be one of maybe 4 or 5 series of YouTubes that is specifically going to outline what it is that awakened me to do what it is that I do. Let me back up just a tiny bit and first of all let you all know that today is November the 8th, 2012. And today is the day that my daughter is going to be coming over from Texas to visit me with my grandson. And prior to that, I had retired from a job that I worked very, very hard and I made a lot of money. But at one point, it's like, I'm done. My kids are grown. My parents are dead. Why am I spinning my wheels so hard? So my husband and I came to an agreement that, I would give up my full-time job. And he says, well, what is it that you would like to do? So I said, well, I love riding my motorcycle and I love to write articles. And I had, prior to retiring, I had written a lot of, not a lot, but several healthcare articles that had been published, Houston Chronicle and the American Journal of Nursing and that sort of thing. So I knew that I had a potential. I had a message, and I like to convey my ideas and my thoughts, and it always astounded me when somebody thought that my ideas were worthy of even, commenting. So with that, I became a motorcycle writer for a magazine. And one of my tasks by my mentor, he said, why don't you go to this place, it's called ABATE, A-B-A-T-E, a Brotherhood Against Totalitarian Enactments. But through the years, people tried to become more politically correct and said, we don't really want to call our country totalitarian, so let's call it Brotherhood aimed towards education. Okay. So, I really had no opinion one way or another about this specific acronym. All I knew is that I was free. I didn't have to go to work as a nurse, 12-hour shifts, sometimes, 14 shifts in a row, doing God knows the kind of stuff that, nurses would do. And I'll spare you the details because I know some of you guys have got weak stomachs. But so here I am. I went to an ABATE meeting, and I met this guy by the name of David Stillwell, who was giving a presentation, at this ABATE meeting. And let me just back up a tiny bit. I learned to ride a motorcycle in 2005 or so. Okay. So I went to a class. Now, in retrospect, I could see that it was indoctrination, just like all public school teachings tend to be. And one of the indoctrinations that I got was that you have to wear a helmet. And I didn't really question that. And I put on my helmet, and it's kind of annoyed me a little bit, but I never really thought about it. I just thought, a helmet goes with a motorcycle. Didn't really question it. And I remember in Arizona seeing motorcyclists that were not wearing a helmet. And I thought, wow, I didn't even think about that. I never thought that, I should, that I even had that option, So when I lodged that night, I woke up. I had the most excruciating pain in my neck. I thought, as a former nurse, I thought, God, I think I'm having a heart attack. But when I thought about it, it's like, oh, wow, you know what it is? It's just this 3/4 helmet that I was wearing. And I don't know how many pounds it is. It's maybe a couple of pounds or so, won't you think? But when you're wearing it and you're going 65 miles an hour or however fast you're going, and you got wind factors and everything, it's really stressful on the neck. And I says to him, you know what? How about I don't want to wear a helmet, because it kind of hurts. And he says, you gotta wear a helmet, so I'm like, all right, well, whatever. So I was fascinated by this man that I met at the ABATE meeting as a brand new reporter for this magazine, motorcycle magazine. And he was wearing this tiny helmet that looked like a little yarmulke. It was about this size, and he put it on, and he kind of looked ridiculous, I thought. But he says, there is this tiny helmet is actually legal to wear. And I thought, really? So, I did a little investigating about that, and we went over to his house. My husband and I and a few friends went over to his house, and I wrote an article about it, about how I took that 3/4 helmet and I cut. We went to Dave's garage where he's got all these manly tools and equipment and things, and I made myself a helmet that was about this big. Eventually, I ended up putting a tiara on it, and I just was going to test this law, because about 1/3 of all states in the United States require that if you are on a motorcycle, you have to wear a helmet. So I thought, what the hell? I'm going to put on this helmet. And, it was like a loophole. It's like, yeah, you could pretty much wear anything you want to and call it a helmet. I thought, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, I've never, been in trouble. I've always been, a law-abiding citizen, to the best of my ability. Of course, I had my little speeding tickets here and there, and always followed the rules and everything. So I thought the worst that can happen is, some good-looking cop will, pull me over and frisk me up good. And I thought, hey, midlife crisis, maybe that won't be such a bad thing. So that was kind of the ridiculous thing that I was thinking would happen, but never in my wildest imagination would I think that would happen what happened. Now, I'm wearing this ridiculous outfit on purpose because I loved it. I found it in California when I was still a nurse, and it's got a little badass, little, what's it called, like a skull, like a little skeletal thing. It's really bikerish looking. And this is the outfit that I was wearing when I was pulled over for that first helmet stop. And I was also wearing my tiny little helmet, which was about this size. It was gold, and it was like this. And I also had on a bandana. It was all black, and I had it on really tight because we were on our way to Idaho. My husband and I were on our way to Idaho for a convention, and I was going to do some reporting for the magazine for that convention. So we didn't really hardly get very far from our home. We were still in Las Vegas when I saw a highway trooper, and I was stopped at an intersection next to me was my husband, and we both have these gigantic motorcycles, and they're very noisy, especially his. He's very obnoxiously noisy with his motorcycle. But so she kind of came in diagonally, and she rolled the window down on the passenger seat of her trooper car, and she goes like this, "Hey, what's that?" And I turned around and I looked at her, and I said, "My helmet." And I said it just like that, "My helmet." But in retrospect, I was wearing a bandana that had my eyebrows crunched like this. So I think she thought I was angry, because then, the lights turned green, and my husband and I started to pull up, and she put on her lights and her siren to detain me. So I pulled over. And then I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to get my first helmet ticket, Oh, my God. The woman came at me, and I am not exaggerating. She came at me like a pit bull about to chew my leg off. It scared me. It horrified me. Now, back then, I was not an open carrier, but this is the outfit I was wearing. I don't think I was wearing this over my helmet or anything, but, I had this, up here, and I had, it was nice and warm. And it was June 10th, 2010. Now, she came at me, and she says, I do not appreciate your attitude. And, she's at me, she's got a gun, and she has the potential to do some serious harm to me. And it really it shook me. It's like I was confused. It's like, this has never happened before. And she says, "Let me see your documentation." And I'm thinking, well, I'm not in Arizona, so she's obviously not asking for my green card, but I wasn't going to be a smartass because, you know, she's got the gun. And so I says, you mean my registration license? Yes, all of that. So my husband, who had also pulled over next to me, he got up off of his motorcycle because my proof of insurance was in his saddlebag. And she says to my husband, you sit! Exactly like that. Now, you need to know my husband is a retired Marine officer, has never been in trouble with the law, and he was, you know, later after we talked about it, he says, gosh, I was so obedient, and I didn't even get a treat, you know, so we kind of giggled about that a little bit. So she goes and she runs my license plate and everything. In the meantime, she makes me sit down at the hood of the car. I had never noticed this before, but the Nevada Trooper car has this hood, like a seat at the hood of the car. So here I am sitting there, and there's all these what looks to me like illegal aliens out there waiting for jobs out there near a what is that called, like a Lowe's or a Home Depot or something, and you can see that they're kind of all looking, oh, you know, my show, and I'm feeling like a clown out here, you know, the sirens out there, and I was feeling really, and I asked my husband, hey, you got the camera? Can you take a picture? Well, his phone had died, so I didn't even get a picture of that. I was very upset about that. So she had run my license plate. She came back out about, it seemed like 30 minutes, but it was really just 5 minutes. She came out, and she goes like this. She says, you know, in a town like this, I happen to know that there's a lot of crazy drivers, and that thing that you're wearing on your head is not going to save you if you crash. I opened my mouth because I was getting ready to have a dialogue with her, and she goes like this, you don't speak until after I'm finished talking to you. I go, whoa. At this point, I'm not going to say anything. You know, it's like, I felt insulted. It's like, you're old enough to be my daughter. You know, I was 49 years old at the time. I had a daughter that was probably her age. And I'm thinking, how dare you talk to me like that? I mean, so then she says, I'm not going to give you a ticket, but down the road somewhere, I'm not going to guarantee that somebody else is going to pull you over and give you a ticket. I doubt that thing is even DOT approved. And go on, and you and your boyfriend or whoever he is, go on and get out of here. Or, you know, words to that effect. I went to go see my friend David Stillwell. We were headed to meet him because we were going to ride together to the Best of the West motorcycle convention. And I told my friend Dave what had happened. I said, can you believe this? And he says, Tiger Lily, in about 100 miles, you're going to be really pissed off. Because I really wasn't pissed off at the time. I was more like shocked. I was like almost in denial, you know, and that this happened. But my husband was a witness. He saw it. And it's like, you know, I had been to all of these motorcycle activist groups where I'd met motorcyclists. And the common theme that I had been hearing over and over is that these cops are really violent in South Nevada against motorcyclists. And it's not that I didn't believe them, but I thought somewhere in my programmed crazy mind, I thought to myself, well, look at ya. You're wearing tattoos, you got long hair, you're just begging to be pulled over and searched for some contraband. I mean, you know, cut your hair and don't ask for it. That was really what I thought. Shame on me, because now I was one of them. That was the incident that awakened me to tyranny in America. He said, well, you know, you could get a CAD report. I said, what's a CAD report? And it stands for Computer Automated Dispatch Report. I think that's what it stands for. So he says, you could still do a complaint against her. And if it's NHP, they've got a video, so you can ask for the video. And you can do a formal complaint against her. I went through a great deal of stuff to find out who this person was and how many other people has she violated. And thanks to the teachings of Stefan Molyneux, I'm a big follower of his teachings. I'm starting to get out of this I hate her mode. I hate these cops mode. Because I really did struggle with that for a long time. Now I almost feel sorry for her in the sense that I've got to question myself. What was her childhood like? What turned her into the beast that she was to me on that day? What attracted her to have a position of power in which she would have that type of power and aggression and ability to just really brutalize somebody? What other things has she done? And what was her childhood like? What made her tick? I think that's the fundamental question that we need to be asking ourselves. Instead of hating the bully, let's find out what makes that bully tick and what is it that we can do in our own lives. Key to that is raising our children nonviolently. And that's something that I've been dealing with, that I've done a lot of soul searching. I grew up Southern Baptist, and so I spanked my children. I didn't think anything of it, and now I realize that was not the right thing to do. And whatever I can do now to change people's mind and to influence their mind to raise their children nonviolently, I think that will be the key to unleashing the exponential potential of humanity, not just in America, but in the entire world. Because right now, what keeps us from having our liberties is ourselves, our indoctrination. But as Stefan Molyneux says, in this day and age, we have no excuse to turn away and not see what's right in front of our eyes. We have the internet. We can't be blaming mainstream media. See that we're not really free. And begin to do some critical thinking with me. And this is Lily Gonzalez. I'm known as Tiger Lily on motorcycle circles and in my writing circles and things. So I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and I hope to see you at part 2 of this expose, which is a continuing part of the whole helmet law thing. So thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys later.